Yo, what is up, guys? It's your boy Q Talks back at it again for another video on the book How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie. This is the only book you need to lead you to success. I believe that, and he believes that as well. Alright, so let's get straight to it. This is going to be section 3, part 2, in which we're going to be talking about principle number 5, number 6, number 7, and number 8. So stay tuned for that. These are really good principles, a little similar to each other, but they're a little different in some other way, alright? I'll elaborate in my video. New mic. I hope you guys like it. If you don't, let me know. I'll try and fix it up for you guys. All right. I will be pretty upset because I spent a lot of money on this, but I'm doing it for you guys. All right. So watch the video. That's the best way to support me. And yeah, let's get straight to it. So principle number 5: get the other person saying yes immediately. And so what do I mean by that, right? Well, I'm talking about section 3, which is to get the other person to your way of thinking. So I'm saying that when you want someone to accept your ultimate proposal, whether that is a business deal or getting them to buy your product, don't begin by talking in terms of which you defer. Emphasize and keep on emphasizing on things in which you agree. Okay, so let me give you an example, right? Let's say I'm playing pool at a pool table and I'm trying to propel the ball in one direction. It's going to be much easier to keep propelling the ball in that direction rather than deflecting it and propelling it the other direction, right? Well, the same thing applies to when getting a yes or no answer from someone. If they're saying yes from the beginning, there's a much more likely chance that they will not say no to your ultimate proposal, and vice versa. This is what Dale Carnegie has to say about this. He says that when a person says no and really means it, he or she is doing far more than saying a word of 2 letters. The entire organism, glandular, nervous, and muscular, gathers itself into a condition of rejection. There is, usually in minute but sometimes in observable degree, a physical withdrawal or readiness for withdrawal. Saying no is not just a word. People are prideful, right? When they say no from the beginning, they will not want to say no yes to you in the end when it comes to your ultimate proposal. But vice versa. When they say yes to you from the beginning, they're in an open state of mind. Their body is accepting towards you. But get them saying no from the beginning, they're in a closed state of mind and their body is rejecting your ideas and your proposals. Okay, so let me give you an example, right? Let's say I were a manager at Metro and you're my employee and I want you to work on a Saturday night. No one really wants to work on Saturday nights, right? But I need you to do it. And I need you to have a yes answer from the beginning. So how am I going to do that, right? Well, let's say I were to come up to you like this. Your name is Jimmy, by the way. Hey, Jimmy, wouldn't you agree that every coworker here should have an equal chance to enjoy their weekends and to spend time with their family and friends? Chances are you will say yes. Well then, Jimmy, don't you agree that Timmy has been working a little too many Saturdays and that maybe this weekend he should take it off to enjoy his time with his family and friends? Chances are you'll say yes. Well, Jimmy, could you then work on Saturday night so that he could have the chance to do that? You're going to be much more inclined to say yes to that proposal than if I were to ask you that from the beginning. If I were to just ask you, hey, can you work Saturday night? So I hope that makes sense, but let me give you one more example, right? When Steve Jobs released the iPhone in 2007, and he wanted people to get hooked on the idea of the iPhone, he did not just begin by talking about all the good things of the iPhone. He wanted to get a yes response from the people so that they have an approval, a yes answer to the iPhone. And so how did he do that? He began like this. Hey, don't you agree that it's impractical to have one device for emails, to send emails, one device to call people, and one device to take pictures on a camera? Yes. Wouldn't you agree that it's much more beneficial to have all these features into one mobile device? Yes. And wouldn't it be even more practical if that device was the size of your hands and you could put that in your pocket so you can carry it anywhere with you? They probably did say yes to that as well. Well, here's the iPhone. What do you think about it? Yes, approval. Just by getting them to say yes to the beginning, chances are they'll be much more inclined to say yes to the ultimate proposal. And I hope you guys understand that principle. let's get on to principle number 6, alright? Principle number 6. Let the other person do a great deal of the talking. So, before I get started on this, you might think this is pretty similar to section 2, which was to be a good listener, but no, we have two different objectives. Section 2 was 6 ways to make people like you, and now we're talking about section 3, which is how to get others to your way of thinking, right? So, letting the other person talk isn't directly related to getting them to your way of thinking, but it gets you to understand their way of thinking, and in doing that, it'll get them to do what you want. Okay, so let me elaborate on that, right? When trying to get someone else to our way of thinking, we often assume what they want, but that is not the case. And guess what? People know more about their own ideas and issues than you do. So let them tell you a few things. And let me give you an example on how this was beneficial in sales. And this happened accidentally, okay? So this heating company, right, who was building like heating systems for homes, needed a new energy efficient heating system. And in order to do that, they asked all their engineers to come up with the best heating system. And the one who would be able to come up with it would get a big bonus. So they all came one by one and came to the board of directors explaining their ideas and how it would be perfect for them. But this one engineer got lucky. He lost his voice. And so, since he lost his voice, he couldn't talk. Wrote a note saying, "Gentlemen, I can't talk, I'm sorry, but here's my idea on the whiteboard. Review it and let me know what you think." And so the board of directors started talking about his heating system. And while they were talking about it, the engineer realized, oh shit, my system wasn't perfect for them. In fact, they were also talking about how they wanted a heating system that was cost efficient and that was reliable for the hard seasons, for winter, for example. But you know what he was able to do? He was able to nod, smile, and listen. And so while doing that, although he didn't have the perfect heating system, the board of directors understood that he was able to understand their issues and that he was a guy who actually listened compared to all the other ones who just assumed that their product was perfect. And in doing that, he got the big bonus. Okay? He let them talk themselves out on how he had the perfect heating system. Just needed a few tweakings. But since he was able to listen, they knew he'd be able to do it. Let me tell you another example. This is between a mother and a daughter, right? So the daughter was a teenager, and usually at that age, they're pretty like rebellious. They do things that the mom doesn't like. And every time she would do something like that, the mom would yell at her and reprimand her and would not let the daughter explain herself. But one day, the daughter did something else that was rebellious, and the mom was just sick and fucking tired of it, right? She was like, "Man, Jenny, why? Like, why do you keep doing this shit?" And Jenny was like, "Damn, I finally got the chance to talk." So she poured her heart out. She was telling her the reason for why she did everything. And in doing that, the mother understood her way of thinking. And they were able to have a conversation about it. And eventually resolved their issues. And they both had a mutual understanding of each other that wasn't there before. And guess what? Since then, the relationship got much better. And the daughter is now less rebellious because she's able to talk about her feelings, and when your feelings are talked about, when you're understood, you don't feel the need to feel important. Maybe she got that feeling of importance by being rebellious. I don't know. But yeah, that is it for principle number 6. Pretty simple principle, but yeah, how to explain it. Let me get on to principle number 7. So principle number 7, let the other person feel that the idea is his or hers. So let me explain this, right? Aren't you much more proud of the ideas that you come up with by yourself? Aren't you much more, convinced with the ideas that you come up with by yourself? I know I am. And so, if that's the case, isn't it bad judgment to try and ram your ideas down the other person's throat? Wouldn't it be much wiser to make suggestions and let them come up with a solution? Yes. And so this is what Dale Carnegie has to say about this. He says that no one likes to feel that he or she is being told, not told, is being sold something or told to do a thing. We much prefer to feel that we are buying of our own accord and acting on our own ideas. We like to be consulted about our wishes, our wants, and our thoughts. Why? It makes us feel important. This was explained in a previous principle on another section, right? But, you know, nothing's perfect except for the ideas that we come up with, right? Because we don't know what the other person's thinking, but what they're thinking is the perfect thing for them, right? Whatever's perfect for us doesn't mean it's perfect for someone else, okay? And this also dates back to my principle number 6, okay? So let me give you an example of how this was used in sales. The biggest hospital in Brooklyn, we're doing an extension to the hospital. They needed more space for the hospital. Why? Because they were trying to equip it with top-notch X-ray equipment. Okay? The best one in the country. And so for that, they were going to pay a good amount of money to the X-ray manufacturing company who was able to come up with that equipment. So, what happened? Every big sale representatives of these X-ray manufacturing companies went up to the doctor in charge of buying them and told him how they had the best equipment, how it'd be perfect for him to use, and how it'll fit all their needs. Except for one company, one manufacturing company. And this is what they did. Our factory has recently completed a new line of X-ray equipment. The first shipment of these machines has just arrived at our office. They are not perfect, we know that, and we want to improve them. So we should be deeply obligated to you if you could find time to look them over and give us your ideas about how they can be made more serviceable to you and your profession. Knowing how occupied you are, I shall be glad to send my car for you at any hour you specify. So what does that do? Makes him feel important. And guess what? If he's able to go out there and tweak it himself, it will be perfect because the doctor's the one using it. He knows what is best for him. And since the company offered him that, of course he jumped on the idea because he wants something that's perfect for him to use as well. And so, since that company was able to make the doctor feel that the idea was his or hers, he bought the product from that manufacturing company. Okay? So I hope that makes sense. On to principle number 8. Alright, so principle number 8. Try and honestly see things from the other person's perspective. And I'll make this quick because this is really similar to section 1, principle number 1, which is to not criticize, condemn, or complain. But basically, not only will this principle get others to your way of thinking, but it'll also cause you to have less resentment towards them. And that is essential because it'll get us from an emotional way of thinking to a logical one. And that is essential when trying to get them to our way of thinking. Okay? So, even though someone might be wrong for doing the things that they do, they still have a good reason for it, right? We all have a good reason to believe the things that we believe and to act the way we act and to think the way we think. And the one person who is able to pick up on that and really be empathetic towards that person is going to win their heart. And that is essential for sales, right? So let me tell you an example of how this was used in one of Dale Carnegie's cases. So one of his students was a woman who was 6 months late on her car payments. And on a Friday afternoon, the debt collector called her and said that if she did not pay back the $120 that she owed, she would be severely reprimanded for it. $120 was a lot of money back then. And frankly, she did not have the money to pay it back. So she decided to apply principle number 8. So when a debt collector called her on Monday morning, she did not get mad at the debt collector. She did not complain about it. She simply saw things from his point of view. And when she saw that, she understood that, damn, she really is a nuisance to the company. And she explained that to the debt collector. She said, I must be the worst customer we've ever had. I'm terribly sorry. I'm sorry you have to go through this. I'm sorry for being such a hassle. This and that and that. And guess what? The debt collector might have been mad at her on Friday afternoon, but this Monday morning, after having heard that, he was really more understanding of her perspective as well, saying, "Don't worry, I have many worse customers than you have. And to be honest, I'm really happy that you're able to see things from my perspective. It is nice to have someone who understands the things that I go through. So you know what? Don't even worry about the car payments. Just make sure you pay me back $20 by the end of the month. And then from there, pay back the rest when you're able to do it." Okay? So simply being empathetic towards the other person and seeing things from their point of view is gonna be severely beneficial to you, okay? So that is it for this video. I hope you guys stay tuned for the next video next week. And a lot of these principles in this video were really similar to each other, so I really had to really, expand and try and find different examples, but I hope you guys liked it. And yeah, guys, have a good night, have a good week, have a good weekend, have a good morning, have a good day, have a good everything, okay? I'm tired, but I'm gonna watch a movie and enjoy my weekend as well. So, alright guys, take care.